Let's dive right into UFC 256 this Saturday. It's going to be a great card. We're looking forward to it. A few fights have already dropped from it, so let's dive into the 10 that we have. And the first one that kicks it off is Chase Hooper versus Peter Barrett. So Chase Hooper is a nice young prospect. You know, he entered the UFC with an 8-0 record. He did lose his first one against Daniel Teemer, I believe. Tamor, yeah, sorry. So he did win that one after his loss to Alex Caceres.
Correct.
Peter Barrett, he's making his UFC debut in 2020. We've seen him fight once against Youssef Zalal, and he did lose in that one. It was in decision. Zalal wasn't able to knock him out, but there wasn't a lot to see there other than the fact that he was able to get out of some of these submissions. He really lives up to that nickname of Slippery Pete for sure. I'm curious to see how he does against Chase Hooper. Where do you see this one landing, Siraj?
Yeah, so just even clean up a little bit with the Chase Hooper introduction. The big thing with him is that he actually stomped the yard in the debut against a guy like Daniel Teemer and won in the first round. And then he followed that up with what was one of the most surprising losses of the pandemic. I mean, he was a huge favorite. And to be honest, I'm pretty sure we had a bit of him in a parlay as well. And Caceres, a guy that I've basically followed his entire UFC career, finally shows up in what was a very technical battle. I think Caceres, we talked about up and down fighters the last time. This is the exact same thing. I mean, a 14-12 fighter to look that good against one of the biggest prospects in the UFC, that is something to take note of. So when I look at, the opposite side with Peter Barrett, we got the older guy, the 34-year-old trying to make, that last-ditch effort coming out of Sityodtong, the biggest, camp out of Boston. So he's got a lot riding on him when it comes to, UFC veteran, that kind of thing. But Chase Hooper does need to kind of, right the ship a little bit. I think that was a very tough matchup for him because Caceres, despite the age, is one of the most well-versed and experienced fighters there is in the UFC. His age just doesn't reflect, how good he is just as a mixed martial artist. So when you look at this fight, I actually think the UFC might be throwing Chase Hooper a bone. At least they think that they are. I believe that that's where they need him to succeed. You know what I mean? Like, that's just the guy they really need him to do well. And so right now, I like the camp that Barrett comes from. I don't like that he gets taken down. I don't like that he gets submitted so easily. I think he's a bit of a grinder, but at the same time, the good grinders are the ones that can kind of do everything fairly well. And I just think when it comes to UFC skill, to be able to do that is a whole different ballgame. And if this fight goes to the ground, I'm curious to see if, Chase is actually able to lock this up.
Yeah, absolutely. And, given that, let's dive right into the lines. It's my favorite part of this segment. So, in terms of Vegas odds, where do you see this one landing and who's the favorite?
Yeah, so I mean, based on what I just said, I'm gonna have to go with Hooper as the favorite. And I think I've been fairly generous with my lines. And if there was a fight on this card that I can kind of tell myself like, hey, there is such thing as minus 300 and stuff like that, be a little bit harder on some guys as underdogs. And so in this one, I'm gonna see Hooper as a minus 275. I just think that there is enough hype behind him. I think that Caceres put on a good enough show to upset him, but at the same time, Hooper should have a bit of an edge, both, hype, skill, age, all of that. Tossed to the wolves in terms of Peter Barrett. Peter Barrett's point of view, but, plus 220 for him, minus 275 for Hooper would be my take.
Yeah, and, like you said, it seems like they're tossing Hooper a bone here. He does come in at a minus 400 favorite, actually. And that line is staying steady. It hasn't moved since opening, and it seems like they're pretty standing firm pat on minus 400 for Hooper.
Beautiful. I mean, I kind of even said at the beginning, right? Like, I'm still even being a little generous on fighters, and that's a clear-cut example of where I definitely was. So for me to even throw it a minus 275, minus 300 is a big deal. So to me, that's a minus 500. So you know what? I'm a roll. Way I see this is maybe an under, but at the same time, if we can see Barrett kind of, withstand some of these blows and avoid some of the finishes, we could just see Hooper kind of ride out a unanimous decision. But, a dog's a dog.
Honestly, that was going to be my lean to you as well. Hooper in decision seems like there could be some value there for sure. So we'll take a look at that one a little closer. All of our picks are going to be locked in on Instagram, on Twitter. We'll be making sure to post all our plays, including the entire fight night card, all of our picks. As always, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. Anything else you want to plug, Siraj?
You know, honestly, guys, this is probably gonna be my favorite card in a very, very long time, and so I'm gonna try my absolute best with Paisan to get as much content rolling out as we can for this week. We're gonna have a lot of fun with it, and I'm excited to maybe get together with you, Pais, and watch, because this is gonna be an absolute fire card. I can't wait.
Oh yeah, I can't wait either. It was a
be
pleasure, Siraj. Love talking to you, man.
You too, my boy. Maybe I'll be back in my Edward Snowden dungeon soon, but till then, peace out, y'all.
Later.